So I've put this video together to talk about how to breathe efficiently in the pool and in open water and the principles that I apply. So a lot of people who swim conventionally flat lift the head out of the water, and by lifting the head out of the water they're using neck muscles that they don't need to use. So that's more effort, energy, and also potential injury from the strain that creates. But it also means that your hips and back end drop and sink. So often you'll see people swim, and when they go to breathe, you see them slowing down. And when you see this video here, you see how I have no loss of speed at all. There's no difference in speed whether I breathe or I don't breathe. It's all part of the stroke. And that's because I'm not lifting my head out of the water, so my hips are sinking. That's not happening here. In fact, what I'm doing is I'm pressing my temple into the water in order to have that one goggle breath, and my mouth clears the water, and it also helps the hips come nice and high, so it makes me super efficient. If you want to learn all the steps of how to build the Ocean Walker technique, you can do on Ocean Walker Vimeo, which is my online coaching series. So let's go through the number of different things that you should do when you breathe in freestyle, which means that you don't get water in the mouth, so you're not coughing and choking and losing rhythm, and how you clear the mouth effectively. So in this video you can see I've got a nice one goggle breath going on. So what that means is one goggle is underwater and the other one is out the water. That means that my temple, so the side of my head, is pushing into the water, and you can see it brings my hips nice and high out the water as well, making me more efficient. It's also not slowing me down. Now when I take a breath, what I do is I move my mouth to clear the water. And rather than taking a big breath in and a big exhale out, I suck out the side of my mouth to take the oxygen in. And when my head's down, I exhale, and then I close my mouth and I take another breath. So I'm not overly inhaling and I'm not overly exhaling. We don't do that on land, so we don't want to do that in the water. We want to grab that breath. That's what I call it. I call it grabbing the breath rather than overly inhaling and overly exhaling. So it's in and then straight away out. In and then out. By moving your mouth to the side, you're likely not to get water in your mouth. And the other thing I do is I close my mouth just before I take a breath in. So when my head is down, after I exhale, just before I rotate to take another breath, I shut my mouth. What that does is it keeps my mouth shut when I'm about to take oxygen in after exhaling. What you don't want to do is exhale, and as you're exhaling, right to the last minute, just before you take another breath in, because you're likely to get water in your mouth. You want to stop exhaling when your head's down for that split second before you take a breath in. Now remember, if you're breathing every 2 strokes, then it's likely to be less than a second before you take another breath in. It's very, very close together. So you can afford to do a small exhale out, then hold your breath, then take a breath in. Small exhale out, hold your breath, take another breath in. You don't need to breathe constantly out. The other thing is, if you breathe constantly out, all of a sudden you're going to panic for air. So you're going to take a bigger breath, which means you're going to lightly lift your head out of the water, so higher than it needs to be. That's then going to disrupt your stroke. It's going to potentially make you over-rotated, so you're going to lose form as a result. Whereas here, when you push your temple into the water, you grab a breath, you exhale, and you continue the stroke. You don't over-rotate, and you don't get tired easily. And what I've found is if you overly exhale, you panic for a breath in, like I've just said. And also, if you take too much oxygen in and really fill your lungs, you're going to feel tight. And if you're physically tight, you're mentally tight. And when you're swimming long distance, you want to be an efficient machine. And what I'm calling long distance is something like a triathlon, Ironman, 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers, or even a channel swim. So you want to be efficient machine. Don't overly take oxygen in, don't overly exhale out. The other things that I do when I take a breath is I hold the front arm. What that means is I'm not dropping the front arm, which will lose my form, and it'll mean I increase my cadence, and I'll also likely panic for air, because as soon as I drop that front arm underwater, like now, if I drop it, then I'm going to do another stroke and it's going to give me less time to breathe. If you hold that gliding arm underwater longer, not only are you going to glide whilst breathing, you're going to have longer to take that breath in, and you're not going to feel panicked for oxygen, which is really important. So what you can see here now is another close-up in slow motion. As I take that breath in, mouth comes to the side, one goggle's underwater, and I hold that front arm when I'm taking the breath. So again, watch here. As I rotate, my hips come up, I turn my head, I push my temple into the water, I have a low front arm sweeping so it's effortless, and then I take the glide. And again, if you want to learn how to glide like this, you want to check out Ocean Walker Vimeo, my online coaching series, which is available online. If you just Google Ocean Walker Vimeo, you can check it out. But nice and effortless on top, nice easy breathing in, exhaling out like we do on land. I don't suck it up too much, and I don't over exhale. Here we go again. Push the temple into the water, and that clears the mouth. Now, if you lift your head upwards, your mouth is likely to go down, and you have to rotate round like I've just said, which is going to take longer and more effort, and likely you over rotate. Okay, so I hope all that information helps you. You can check me out on oceanwalkeruk.com if you want to learn in person. I've got my academy, Ocean Walker Academy in Lincoln, UK. We'll have camera systems which we can look at different angles, and I also have my swim camps around the world. But if you can't visit me, check out Ocean Walker Vimeo. I think you'll find it really useful to learn online. And just keep it going. There is a way to swim more efficient, and this is the way. All the best.